at it, why do you think the wellness industry has overlooked the skeletal system for such a long time?
Well, my comparison every day is I compare it to a tire on a car, okay? And it's the best example because if we go right now, you can go get in your car, you push the button, and if you don't hear a bunch of ding, ding, dings that your tires are flat, what do? You just drive away. Well, in the early 1900s, when cars were first around, what did they do? They walked around their car. They checked the oil, they checked for leaks, they checked the overall health of the car before they left the driveway. And so that's something that we've gotten accustomed to. We rely on automation for all of that now with our cars. So by the same standard, if you had a way to look at yourself in the mirror in the morning after you get out of your shower and you were able to press a button and it showed your internal skeletal structure, it showed your organs, it showed your circulation, and you could see if there was a problem with that, you'd immediately fix it. You would immediately go into, hey, what can I do to fix this problem because I can see it? So adversely, it's a out of sight, out of mind thing with the bones.
Welcome back to the Primal Reset Podcast. Today we're joined by John Wetzel, the franchise owner of OsteoStrong Gramercy Commons and a certified BFR coach with a background as a Navy submariner and athletic photographer. John's been at the forefront of skeletal strength optimization, helping people improve bone density, posture, and performance through cutting-edge patented technology. John, it is a pleasure to have you. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I appreciate being here.
So share your story with me in a quick minute, 60 seconds. What got you into the longevity space?
What got me in it essentially was learning about OsteoStrong and how we can build skeletal strengthening through non-medication, non-pharmaceuticals. That's really what intrigued me, was a way to do something that was essentially using our own body to build and our own body to be better. So what we call biohacking is really using natural resources to get a result. And, the beautiful part of that is that we have these resources around us, such as things like grounding and the sun and, these natural things that we don't take advantage of. So getting into longevity essentially started with OsteoStrong, learning about how we could strengthen the skeletal system. And from there, it just ballooned into everything else that I've done, where it's all synergistic and it all promotes longevity.
Was there a personal experience that got you invested into OsteoStrong?
Yes, kinda. So I was introduced to OsteoStrong because my friend was a franchise salesperson. And so he was selling franchises and he gave me a list of people to call because he's like, hey, he goes, we have all these people that we need to see if they want to be a franchise owner or a member. And honestly, the phone calls were mind blowing because it was people that went to a Tony Robbins event. So these people were, people that were looking for stuff for longevity and wellness and, to be better people, right? So these people answered their phones, and the conversations I was able to have with them about OsteoStrong and the system and how good it was, how cool it was, how they wanted to be a member or an owner, that really kind of convinced me right there that this was something so cool that I had to learn about. And I've always been in the industry of what I call blue ocean stuff, where I was doing stuff before it was cool, before it became a thing. And so this was one of those things I said, wow, this is kind of cool. I can get into something that's fairly new and it's not well recognized. And as a marketing person, I think I could do something with this. And turns out OsteoStrong, we're in 14 countries and over 250 locations. So we're not small. We're just relatively unknown, unthought of. So
Yeah.
My personal experience was just learning from other people of how cool it was. And then I wanted one. When I was in Colorado learning about it. I was like, I want one of these. This sounds super cool. You manifest enough and stuff happens to you. So,
Absolutely. And it's awesome how much outreach you guys have had and how much success OsteoStrong has had. And it's only going to get bigger as well. I mean, looking kind of back at it, why do you think the wellness industry has overlooked the skeletal system for such a long time?
Well, my comparison every day is I compare it to a tire on a car, okay? And it's the best example because if we go right now, you can go get in your car, you push the button, and if you don't hear a bunch of ding, ding, dings that your tires are flat, what do? You just drive away. Well, in the early 1900s, when cars were first around, what did? They walked around their car. They checked the oil, they checked for leaks, they checked the overall health of the car before they left the driveway. And so that's something that we've gotten accustomed to. We rely on automation for all of that now with our cars. So by the same standard, if you had a way to look at yourself in the mirror in the morning after you get out of your shower and you were able to press a button and it showed your internal skeletal structure, it showed your organs, it showed your circulation, and you could see if there was a problem with that, you'd immediately fix it. You would immediately go into, hey, what can I do to fix this problem because I can see it? So adversely, it's a out of sight, out of mind thing with the bones.
I love that metaphor and the way to kind of explain it to people. I mean, our skeletal system is what holds everything together.
Holds it all together.
And if we're not taking care of it, like you kind of mentioned, it's we're all going to fall apart. And
Correct.
that's where we become kind of that fragile package that they send
Mm-hmm.
in the mail. And I don't think anyone wants that, but there's definitely a belief out there that with age, inevitably you're going to become fragile.
Correct.
Yeah, so how does that work? How does your work
So
challenge that
normal,
notion?
so peak bone mass is actually at 30 years old. So if we look at the scientific data behind it, if peak bone mass is at 30, we start to decline 1 to 3% bone density every year after that. So you take, for example, 1%, me at 50, that's 20% down. I don't want to play at 80%. And then if you go deeper into science and learn and understand the fact that bones and muscles are connected, where your muscles are not going to get stronger than what your bones can support, now you really look at, wait a second, I can't be any stronger than 80% of what I was at 30. I'm not going to accept that. So that's where people get into this confusion of, well, I do workouts and I go to the gym and I just can't seem to get any stronger. Well, that's your body's systems, natural systems limiting you to protect you. Your brain is your command center. It's designed to protect you. So that being said, if you can't get any stronger, that's your body telling you, hey, you've done enough. You have other, you're only as strong as your weakest link, in my opinion. That's why the value of the skeletal structure is so important, in my opinion, because it's holding everything together. But then you've got joints, connective tissue, tendons, and all the soft tissue that was never spoken about before. It was always no pain, no gain, beat yourself down in the gym and grind it out and CrossFits and all this stuff. And soft tissue damage, as a former athlete, you understand this very well. Soft tissue damage is a big issue in all sports. The heavy breaks, you don't hear a lot of it because, again, these younger players, 20, 25 years old, they are, still pretty peak bone mass. But soft tissue, if it's not strong, what happens? Weakest link.
Absolutely. All that being said, kind of on the point of working out and going to gyms and trying to get stronger the older you get, and realizing that obviously your command center is not going to let you do that.
Correct.
Why do you believe traditional gyms might be doing a bit more harm than good when it comes to bone health?
Well, because it's lack of knowledge. Unfortunately, it's not everybody knows what they're doing. I mean, when you first go into a gym, you sign up and you do your enrollment, and then they say, okay, here's your key fob, or here's your locker key or whatever, and off you go. You can pay for personal training, you can pay for somebody to educate you, or you can try to do it yourself. And so lack of education, unfortunately, becomes the catalyst for all of that, where people just don't know what they don't know.
That's definitely true. And I mean, curious on the bone health side, we've always been told, at least when I was younger, calcium. That's what we need to drink, and all
Yeah.
this dairy and every single day. What's your take on that?
What my take on that is, Milk spent a lot of money on that campaign for a lot of years, especially the Milk mustache. Remember, that was a very popular campaign once upon a time. Overall, if you really want to break down the science, though, we are not baby cows. We're not designed to drink baby cows or cow milk. So the calcium you're getting from milk is not necessarily what we're looking for. What we recommend in our center, we actually work with Algae Cal, which is a calcium derived from algae, which is a natural plant in the ocean. So Algae Cal has done a lot of research where they also add in all the other bone building nutrients, the D2, or the D1, or D3 rather, K1, K2, magnesium, boron, zinc, copper, all these other nutrients that are needed to build bone. Particularly tell people to do traditional calcium, because calcium is a mineral, it's usually a rock. Your body doesn't absorb that well. So something like an algae cal or an algae-based calcium seems to do much better in the system. It's more bioavailability. So the other thing where people are kind of missing is in supplementation it's all over the charts, right? Everybody's told to take this, take that, take this, take that. But if you don't know where it's sourced or you don't know where it's coming from, you could actually be doing more damage than good. A lot of times those calcium tablets, those real hard calcium pills that people take, tend to lead to kidney stones because your body's not absorbing it well. So that's why I tell people I don't recommend traditional calcium if you're looking for calcium supplementation. I personally go for a algae-based or a plant-based, something more natural for the body.
Interesting. So generalized, it's a bit easier to digest with algae
Yeah.
calcium.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. I mean that's something I never knew, and like I said, like you mentioned, the Got Milk campaign, and they spent so much money on that. Is what I was always told as a kid, and never heard that kind of side of, hey, algae is probably better for you.
Mm-hmm.
We're not necessarily made to have pure calcium, and I mean, everyone that's listening, see if you have kidney stones or not if you're taking the regular calcium
Yeah, if you've
pills.
been taking calcium for a very, very long time, there's a strong chance that you may have a kidney stone. And
Good warning now. So if
yeah,
anyone's
yeah, have it
listening,
checked out. Take a look.
go get checked out.
Get a
Um,
CT scan. Take a look at your body.
yeah, absolutely. What's another common misconception about bone health that counter all the time?
Misconception is the two that I run into the most is that bones can't grow, which is fascinating to hear that one, which bone is living tissue. So it absolutely can grow. It's just a matter of giving it obviously the nutrients and the stimulation to do what it's supposed to do. The other misconception is that just natural aging, my bones are going to deteriorate, and that's just part of natural aging. And unfortunately, a lot of older folks are convinced of that. That's what they have been told by their doctors, that it's just part of natural aging. Your body's going to just decline. And for me, in the biohacking world, age is a number, and I don't believe getting older means getting weaker. In fact, the tagline for OsteoStrong is "Getting older does not mean getting weaker." It's a very true statement, because how can we do something to build, as we get older? I don't want to be on a walker or wheelchair or cane or any of this stuff. And we see a lot of this, especially somebody that's 70, 80 years old, because they're frail. They've lost bone density, and like I told you earlier, they lost muscle as well. So the big thing for me is everybody has bones. I've yet to meet the person without them. So it doesn't matter if you're 15 years old or 95 years old, you still have bones, and your bone health can be improved. They did a study in Fort Myers, Florida, where they put some high school kids through OsteoStrong. In fact, Fort Myers right down from you. And they put some high school kids through OsteoStrong, age 13 to 17, and they did their pre and post. I want to say it was bench press reps, and they only did 5 weeks of OsteoStrong, and they saw an improvement with these kids 13 to 17 years old. So that's just proving that bones can be stimulated at any age. And a lot of it has to do with both nutrition, environment has stuff to do with it. It really, where you're at. But if you think you're just going to ride out life and not stimulate your bones, and you're just going to have a great life and be upright and straight and perfect all the time, good luck to you. I wish you the best. Um, but that's not real science. We have to, think about what you did as an athlete, right? You have to put strain on the body to adapt, right? If you want to get stronger, you've got to strain the muscle to get adaptation. So adaptive response is happening all the time in our body. How do you adapt?
Interesting. I mean, that's a take that I know well, with the adaptation and obviously having to put strain on the body.
Correct.
Um, I'm curious with you saying whether it's 13-year-olds or 95-year-olds. Is the notion of when you get older you shrink a real thing, or is that just a mindset that people have and that's
No,
why
it's
it's
natural
happening?
compression. It's your body's naturally compressing down. It's gravity. So yeah,
Okay.
and that's one of our standard questions on our intake form of OsteoStrong is, have you lost height? And we
Okay.
see it a lot, because so your body wants to be strong and straight. But what happens is, between compression and all that soft tissue, if it's compressing down, if your joints, tendons, and ligaments are not strong enough to hold that bone together and hold it up nice and strong, you're going to shrink. You're going to compress down. And that's where we see a lot of people. Ask anybody that's lost height and has that compression, does your back hurt? Do your knees hurt? Do your hips hurt? Guarantee they say at least one of those, neck. Um, And there's the other thing is if your joints, tendons, connective tissue is not stronger, a lot of people are in pain. I've had members that have come in with, chronic back pain or, back pain for 3, 4, 5 years. And then 4 weeks, they don't have any pain anymore because we've strengthened that area. So, as athletes, he was actually a golfer. He was a golf trainer. And he's like, look, he goes, I bend over and tee up balls for my students. And he goes, I've teed up 1 million balls plus. And he goes, my hip hurts. And in 4 weeks, he looked at me, he's like, my hip doesn't hurt anymore. Why? I'm waiting for it to come back. And there's the other thing, right? We talk about pain is a funny one because pain is not normal. I preach this all the time. Pain is not normal. You were not born with it, so it is not normal. But what ends up happening, especially athletes, you guys normalize it a lot, right? Pain is I've normalized it because it's just there all the time. I've learned to live with it. It's normal. I keep having people come in, I got this pain. It's just pretty normal. It's in my back. Well, it's not normal. It means you've normalized it. So if the back gets stronger, those tendons, joints, and connective tissues get stronger, now maybe you don't have that pain anymore, or you've reduced it by 90% or 80%. Big difference.
Definitely a big difference. What's the first step that someone should take when wanting to get a better bone health?
First step is education. Like I say, I will always go back to education. Look at what's out there. Look at where you're at personally. Like I said, really know what you can do, knowing what your abilities and what you have access to. Not everybody has an OsteoStrong out there. So can you start with taking supplementation? Is it something that you could start there and give your body the nutrients? So the other thing that I equate OsteoStrong to sometimes, it's a good analogy, is if I'm going to send workers into my kitchen to remodel my kitchen, what I do is I have the workers come, they show up and they do the demo, they tear out everything. And then what are they going to rebuild with? Are they going to use the same materials that they just tore out of your kitchen and just put scrap material in there? Or are you going to give the new materials / nutrients to build with? And that's where I look at, that's what I would rather have them do. I would rather have them build with new material than use old scrap wood or old scrap, tile or whatever. So that's where supplementation comes into play. Because if you're not giving your body the nutrients to build bone or to build muscle or to break down protein or all these other systems that are happening, what do? You're cheating yourself. Because your body has to have certain things to operate. And if we're not giving it that, what do you think is going to happen? You don't get you don't get magnesium from osmosis. You don't get K2, K1, K2, K3 from or K1, K2 from osmosis. You have to take something to get it, whether it's in your food. And if you're getting it in your food, great. But the other part is that not everything you're looking for is in the food, especially because of the nutrition that's in food nowadays.
Definitely the nutrition in food nowadays especially in America, is not the healthiest for you. And the processed food that's out there that's affordable is unfortunately at our fingertips every single day. And finding that whole food and natural, organic is significantly harder financially and even just finding it in general.
Correct.
I love your analogies. Walk me through, if I were to go into OsteoStrong today, walk me through the process that I would go.
Very simply, first, we would have you fill out a couple of forms, questionnaire. Where are you at? What are your goals? What are your simple health goals? What would it feel like to be able to do the things that you probably are unable to do? And then we, brief history of your supplementation medication so we can see where we're at with that. And then once we get through our interview, it usually takes me about 10 or 15 minutes to kind of see if you're able to do what we do here in the systems and see if people have watched the videos and stuff. Then I'd have you come back. We do full body vibration. We stand on full body vibration plates to activate the central nervous system and to warm up the body without, I've got a lot of senior citizens. We don't want them doing jumping jacks or high intensity. So vibration is a great way to activate the central nervous system, help the lymphatic, help circulation, get the muscles relaxed, get everything ready to go. So we're about to do our system. Then we've got 4 machines, an upper, lower, core, and postural. Each machine is designed to do one specific motion. And the upper, it's almost simply like a sitting bench press, similar to that. And you're going to do what we put you in what we call the perfect position, which is 120 degrees of an angle in your arm or your legs. And the reason we do that is your strongest position. So if you were think about doing a bench press, if you were to start way back at your chest, it's really hard to move. If I start you out here a little bit further, it's easier to move. OsteoStrong machines were founded on a 65-year-old osteoporotic female. So that's how the whole system was founded. Dr. Jakewish's mom had osteoporosis and he wanted to reverse it. So that's why his studies showed that we needed to get to certain multiples of body weight, and anything over certain multiples of body weight triggered bone growth. So if I've got a 65-year-old, 70-year-old woman or man, I don't want them, in an awkward position or trying to do weight that they're not going to be able to handle. I've got to put them in their perfect biomechanical position to do said exercise. And so we do an initial push, which is an engagement. And then we do a full-on rep where it is literally you're pushing with all of your pressure and you're pushing and breathing the whole time. Our goal is to get up over in the upper body is over 2.5 multiples of body weight. Our goal is to get over that number. Now, if you think about, the average younger lady, maybe 100 pounds. So think about they have to do 250 pounds of force to trigger bone growth. Now, osteoporosis, people are told to do weight-bearing exercise. The unfortunate part is it's an extreme amount of force that they have to do that they're not being told to do. They're told to do 20-pound weights or 10-pound weights, but that's not enough force. They need to do a certain amount of force to trigger bone growth. So the first machine, we would get to that 2.5 multiples of body weight, and that's when we know we've hit the bone growth trigger, okay? Anything over that, we're looking at muscle, connective tissue, joint strength, and tendons and everything else. But I've got ladies that are in their 60s and 70s pushing 400, 500, 600 pounds of force in the matter of 10 seconds, 15 seconds. They're doing fantastic. So then once we do that one, we move on to the legs. The legs is similar to a leg press machine. And you will do your engagement rep there. And then we're looking for the 4.2 multiples of body weight. So your femur is your biggest bone in your body. We're looking to get to 4.2 multiples of your body weight to trigger bone growth. Now, to put that in example, once again, a 100-pound person, that's a 420-pound push. It seems like a lot, but if you can do it in your perfect position, it's actually quite easy to do. The numbers that I've been able to put up on those machines is absolutely phenomenal. And I'm 5'11" at 180 pounds at 11.7% body fat, so I'm not very big. But for me, it's about force and about power. I want functional muscle. And so third machine is core. It's similar to doing a body crunch. You're going to be pulling down as you try to lift your legs up and try to really engage your core. The nice part is that was only 1.5 multiples of body weight. And then our final machine is called our postural, where it's almost like a deadlift, but you're going to be more straight up and down. And we want to keep that back and core nice and straight while you're lifting up. And once we do those 4 machines, it takes about 10 minutes to do the whole thing. Then we get back onto vibration, and we do about another 2 minutes of vibration. So we do about two minutes before and after vibration to really set everything in. And that's technically it. You're done. So I get people in and out of there in less than 10 minutes if they want. Then we have the additional modalities such as hydromassage, red light therapy, and biocharger to amplify the results. So the best way I put it is if we're, the osteogenic loading is called turning on the faucet, okay? But if I want to turn the faucet on all the way, that's where the other modalities come in, which helps promote recovery. Because recovery is one of the more important parts that people don't, again, talk about.
Well, I love the process you guys go through. It's very thorough. It's very personalized to that said person as
Every
well.
person is different.
And absolutely, recovery is probably the most important thing that we kind of all goes right over our heads.
Knowing what I know now.
It's definitely part of our lives. And I always say, if you looked at Pumping Iron with Arnold Schwarzenegger and him saying he's in the gym 5 hours a day, not everyone's in the gym. If you were to be in, if let's say you were, there's still 19 hours that you're eating, you're fueling, you're recovering, the work is not necessarily all done in the gym, and people need to start realizing that as well. Looking future-wise, where do you see the future of preventative health heading, especially concerning, cutting-edge technologies like OsteoStrong?
For me, there's going to be a lot more people getting on board with the biohacking. There already is. I do run a group here, Biohacking Las Vegas, and we do monthly meetings, and I'm getting 40 to 50 people in a room, a lot of healthcare professionals, mostly functional medicine, hypnotherapy, concierge-style medical professionals that are really embracing the biohacking part because we're looking for root causes. Okay, so if somebody's already in a problem, we're looking for the root cause to get them out of that problem. And if somebody is already in pretty good shape, We want to keep them in pretty good shape so we don't have these problems come down the road. That's the big one for me. Like one of the things I'm actually doing, I do ozone therapy, but I do direct injection, and it's something that no one's doing, but I'm doing it as a biohacker protocol. I'm doing it as a preventative. Um, a lot of the stuff I do personally, red light therapy, vibration, PMF, are all mostly preventative. Mostly to keep myself going and not have to worry about the breakdown. I mean, why do we change our oil in our car? Why do we change the fluids in the car? I mean, you don't want your car to break down. Well, what are we doing in our body? The same thing. So I think the shift is happening where people are being more proactive, because they don't want to have the long-term problems that they're looking at their parents, neighbors, friends, cousins, relatives that are having. You can go into any store. I challenge anybody to do this. Go into Walmart, Target, or any grocery store and walk around and consciously look for somebody in good shape. Consciously look for the healthy person. And I guarantee it's going to be a challenge because you're going to look down aisles and be like, wait a second, that guy was right. There's a scooter, there's a wheelchair, there's a walker. And it's, this one's 40 pounds overweight. And then look at their cart. Look at what's in there and look at their cookies, their cake, their cereal, their stuff that's in there. So I think as that stuff starts to shift, as the food is obviously getting an overhaul, thank goodness. I think as that stuff starts to shift, people are going to look at that as wait a second, they're trying to give us better options. What can I do to put in the work? Because at the end of the day, we all have to put in work, right? It's not going to take a lot sometimes, but sometimes you've got to put in something. You got to have skin in the game. Please don't think you can just sit there and eat steak and potatoes and chicken and just be healthy because you didn't walk around, you didn't do any exercise of any kind. You just wanted to ride it out. Well, it's only going to get you so far. With biohacking, we're trying to make it easier. I stress to people all the time, my workouts are actually quite minimalistic, but I've learned about not only working out efficiently, but also, like we talked about, that recovery aspect. Knowing what I know now versus what I knew 20 years ago is night and day difference, because I was the no pain, no gain guy. I was the 3 hours a day in the gym guy. I look at it now and go, okay, it was a half an hour to get to the gym, half an hour to get home from the gym. You went to the gym for 3 hours. You did a half an hour to take your shower and get your clothes on and off. I'm like, there's 5 hours of my day, 4.5, 5 hours of my day every day that I was doing. I was 6 to 7 days a week. And it's just not sustainable. So now at 50 years old, I don't want to lift heavy. I don't want to do all these, beat myself down in a CrossFit and do all this stuff and hurt for 3 days. I don't have any desire to do that. So how can I do something more efficiently to not only get the results, but also to recover properly? And that's where PEMF, vibration. I just got Brain Tap, which is my new toy I just acquired within the last week. That's been phenomenal. Normatec compression, red light therapy. I use red light therapy every day. I have it literally sitting next to me. It's one of my staples that I use twice a day. So what I have is I have these certain things in my life I call non-negotiables. There are things that I'm not willing to trade out and I'm not willing to live without because not only have I already acquired them, but they're also easy to do. Red light therapy, it doesn't take any effort. PEMF, you lay on a mat. Compression, you lay on the couch or whatever in your bed and do compression. Brain tap, you're literally laying down with a headset on your head. So a lot of this stuff is not hard to do. It's just you have to do it. And it just really depends on how you want to live. Do you want to live great, or do you want to wake up and wonder what the next pain you're going to be in and then have to go see the doctor and get the pharmaceutical to get another pill to take pain? It's an ending cycle. So I'm trying to avoid all of that. If I can avoid that by being proactive, I think I can do better, in my opinion.
Absolutely. And for everyone out there that is looking to build a better health, better life for themselves as well, start with a little bit of education. Go look at John. He's on LinkedIn. Go look at all of his social media platforms. I'll have them all in the link below, as well as his website. There's a lot of information. Reach out to him. If there's an OsteoStrong next to you, walk in. John might not be the one talking to you, but the team definitely knows what they're doing. So walk in, get some advice, get some information, and write down what your goal is. Start with what your goal is. What are you really trying to achieve? And start from there. Always take the first step. John, it was a pleasure having you on the show today. We'll definitely have to do this in the future. There's a whole lot more that I'm sure we could talk
Oh, we
about.
can unpack some stuff.
But oh, absolutely. But it was a pleasure having you on the show today. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. Happy to help, and like you just said, you can reach out to me. Anybody, I'm doing this and being a component of it to be a beacon. I'm not doing the whole rah rah John thing. I never have. It's really just me trying to get myself better, so I can be an example for anybody else that's willing to want to be better themselves. And I'm willing to help. I'm willing to give you some of the stuff I've used, some of the education I've gotten. I'm an open book.
Awesome.